Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the balance sheet. We have a very, very exciting, basically our year-end episode for you guys today. I am one of your co-hosts, Billy. This is my co-host, Raj.
Yep.
Excited to be with you guys. We are going to be recapping AEW World's End, which happened last night. Um, some pretty good women's stuff. I think some storyline, some good matches, and some good storyline evolution. So excited to talk about that. WWE is moving towards their big Netflix anniversary show, so we've got some good things happening over there. And really, what we're most excited to bring you today is our year-end awards. This is our first full year having done this podcast. Last year was kind of a partial year. We did have our best of last year, but we're making it truly official this year. So this is going to be our first annual balance sheet awards. We've got 15 different categories of awards to bring you best of the year. And so that will be at the end of the show, replacing our top five. And with the final two awards, kind of like if you're watching the Oscars, you're going to have your match of the year and your wrestler of the year. Very prestigious. Um, Probably not as important as the wrestling club, and I'm only going to say that because we love those kids here. We're big fans, but you know, these are going to be highly prestigious awards going forward, right? So, um, appreciate you guys continuing to support us. And you guys always love when we put lists together and different things like that. So we're excited to bring these to you. Let's start with World's End. I thought it was, especially counting Zero Hour, we had some really good stuff all through the women's roster yesterday. What did you think of the show?
Yeah, so before I give you my thoughts on the three matches, I want to say congratulations to Maya World and Hyann for getting
Absolutely.
signed to All Elite Wrestling. Tony Khan made it official, said they're all elite. And the reason I say I want to give both of them some kudos is that they were backstage, just there. And two other performers decided they did not want to perform, so they got kind of thrust into the spot. The door opened for them, they went through it, and through that uh kind of event, they have now become full-fledged employees of AEW, which is the second biggest wrestling company in the world. And no matter what you think of AEW, being signed to them, going from the independents to going to AEW, where you're on worldwide TV every week. The paycheck is much better. The benefits are much better. The money is just better, right? So, congratulations to both of those women who have been grinding on the indies, who both have, I think bright futures in the wrestling business. So, congratulations to both of them.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm thrilled that that has become official. It is a great lesson in humility, preparedness, professionalism. And for those of you who don't know, Maya World and Hayan were not a tag team on the Indies. I've watched at least 15 indie shows this year that both of them were on the card and they're not a pair. They weren't a pair.
Mhm.
But they were brought into AEW and put in a tag team together, I think maybe for an ROH show, um, and essentially, or maybe a collision, and kind of there to put over another team. And they were around the following week and were ready to go again in the situation that you talked about. And so here they are now, and they're on AEW TV. They're smart. They're like, you know what? This could be a thing. They got the matching gear and all that stuff and really leaned into it. But most importantly, they did their job working with the roster. They're there to make the roster look good, so they're in there selling their butts off. They wrestled Babes of Wrath on previously in the week. Um, I'll tell you right now, nobody sells the Pounce in my opinion better than Mercedes, but like Hyan sold the hell out of the Pounce and made it look as good as it has with anyone in there, and that's the job. Um, Maya World sold. I think that was Sky Blue's best code blue that I've seen in a minute. Just smooth, right? And that's what happens when you have talent in there working with each other. So these two women have been killing it on the indies. I'm excited to see them signed. It's a huge level up and young talent coming in for AEW that already knows how to work, that already has some character development. These two women know what they're doing. So
They're
eight,
enhancement talent, but there's nothing wrong with that
right,
because in the modern day of wrestling, everybody gets on TV, and getting on TV is your chance to get over. This is not, the 1980s WWE where it's a taping of WWE Challenge, and the person gets beat up in 2 minutes and you never hear from them again.
right,
This is going to be an opportunity for both of them to showcase their skills. To talk about their match, before we get to the main card matches, I thought their match was a match. I mean, it
yeah,
was set up to put the Sisters of Sin over. The Sisters of Sin clearly seem to be on a path to be the next number one contenders for the tag titles. So they have to look strong, and that's what they did. But it was a good 0 hour match. And
hmm
I thought Maya and Hyann got enough offense in where you could clearly see why they should be signed and why it was a good get for Tony to acquire both of them because, the more talent you have, that means the less talent goes to the other person, the other company. And I think that that's always something that he needs to be cognizant of is that, and right now, and I don't know if we've ever reported this, but I know it's been out there that apparently WWE has told um independent wrestlers and their agents that they're not taking any more people. Like that they're full, and unless you're a big star, they're not gonna add to the roster. So right now, if you're an independent wrestler, AEW should be your goal because
yeah.
they're the only place that's gonna be taking you in. And they also obviously have Ring of Honor, which is part of it. So yeah, the match was a match. It was good for what it was and put the Sisters of Sin over. But let's get to the main card. Let's get to the main card and let's talk about the two matches. So, I'm going to start with the women's tag team titles, which was the Babes of Wrath, Willow Nightingale, Harley Cameron versus, I guess, the CE Overlords is the name we'll go with, which is Mercedes Moné, the TBS champion, and Athena, who is the Ring of Honor champion. They got about 16 minutes.
Yep.
I thought this match was really good. It got better for me the second and third time that I watched it. Um, I liked the storytelling of this match. I liked the chemistry that all four women had. And I thought it did the job it needed to do, which is A, the champs should win. They did. B, it's going to continue the downfall of Mercedes. C, possibly the downfall will happen to Athena because I see tension after they lost. I've always predicted that I think Athena should be the one to beat her for the TBS title because
Yeah.
I think that that's a prestigious enough of a wrestler that, okay, Athena beating Mercedes after Mercedes got the first win on her kind of leads to Mercedes now is losing to people she normally beats, which is part of the downfall story. This match was really good. I'm gonna say that I liked the first match. I don't know if I liked it better, but it was a different match. Like the first match, I thought just from a wrestling standpoint was really clean. This match was really good too, but the story in this match kind of was good as well, which is, how Babes of Wrath are working as a team and how Athena and Mercedes looked great, but when it got real tight and they needed to like win, they lost.
Yeah.
And I thought that was good. So I enjoyed this match.
Yeah, I thought it was really good as well. I if I love what the Babes of Wrath have become. Um, they have great chemistry. They're fun. Um, they're great tag team champions because I think of the old touring days, right? And if you were just going city to city to city, like the old WWE model, um, and you had a family bring their kids to the show, and they're not watching AEW TV, but they went to this wrestling event that's in their town. Willow and Harley would basically pop every crowd. They're fun, you get an energy from them. They're good TV because they present themselves well. Whether you're, a casual watcher or someone invested. So I think they're a great first tag team champion. I did not expect them to lose. I did not want them to lose. Those of us who are have been around since Boston Hug were the inaugural WWE champions. Them losing this match would have been akin to Bailey and Sasha losing to Tamina and Nia at Fastlane because that was their one successful pay-per-view defense. It was bad enough that they lost 2 months later, but losing a month later would have been even worse, right? And so I didn't have any expectations for Mercedes and Athena to win.
Mhm.
I do love watching them wrestle as a team. There was a spot where they got to like Athena power bombed Mercedes suplexing Willow.
Mhm.
And the clips that you'll find on it on AEW's social site actually leave out the best part. Um, Athena runs Willow into the corner, and I think she does like a running shoulder, and Mercedes runs up behind Athena and basically like scours up her back straight into the spot where she's in the power bomb position. Like it was just really, really, really smooth. And that's the type of stuff that you get when you have a team with two of the best wrestlers in the world. Um, but they don't have the teamwork chemistry as far as mentally being on the same page as Willow and Harley. Athena hit Mercedes, then Mercedes hit Athena. Um, Athena took Harley's finisher, and then Mercedes hit her finish on Harley, and then Willow and Mercedes kind of went back and forth, and Willow rolled up Mercedes. And then after the match, Athena's the one basically blaming Mercedes because, yes, she got pinned, but Athena's the one who got taken out by Harley and Harley's finisher, and Athena's the one that hit Mercedes first. So, interesting dynamic there. Athena's obviously going to play the blame card on Mercedes. They've each taken a pin in both of their losses to Babes of Wrath. So that tenuous union is going to fall apart.
Yeah, and I think you're going to get another match with these two teams, and I think that's when the explosion will happen
Yeah.
with Mercedes and Athena. I want to give commentary some credit here. They did a really good job on this match. They talked about, how influential Mercedes is all time in terms of how she's really been the change of women's wrestling since she started and how it's gotten a bigger spotlight. I liked how commentary said, hey, these are two of the best singles wrestlers of all time for the women. That doesn't mean they're going to be a good tag team because
Yep.
what makes a great singles wrestler, ego, individualism doesn't necessarily make a good tag team wrestler. I thought they did a great job there with that. I think they told this good story about how, while Mercedes has had one of the best years of all time, the last month for her hasn't been good.
Right.
She's been losing more, and I think they set the stage very well with the commentary, and I think they also did a great job of talking about the rise of Harley Cameron. She's only been on the roster for 3 years, and she's already won a title, and how she improves with each outing. So I thought for the first time in AEW, I liked the commentary that didn't involve Daniel Bryan. Nigel's really, really good. I'm not the biggest fan of Excalibur or Tony. I grew up on Tony Schiavone, but not this version of him. He's like Al
Yeah.
Michaels to me at this
Yeah.
point. So I did enjoy that. I truly thought that they did a nice job. One thing I want to give Athena a lot of credit for. Well, I mean, it's not something that nobody knows, but I noticed it. I don't know if like they should do, how with Braun Breaker they do that speed thing where every time he runs around they clock him at like 23 miles or they make up some number. They should
Yeah.
do that with Athena when she does the suicida dive.
Nobody in the world does that faster
She
than her.
gets
It's
yeah,
crazy.
she gets a
Yeah.
lot of speed. They should do that. They should
Yeah.
prop her up like that. But yeah,
It'll
good match.
be a good match and we got a backstage segment that they did air on the pay-per-view, and it's on all the socials of Mercedes crashing out after and setting up a match with Willow, which will be on December 31st. So one more match in 2025. Little bit of panic all over the timeline if you're Mercedes fans. It is for the TBS title. Two things real quick. One, this is one of my favorite promos of hers of all time. Um, the intensity she was speaking with. She's obviously losing her mind. She's on a razor's edge. So she's going from can't believe she's losing to also defending herself and saying, "Hey, I just had the best 2025 of like anyone in the world. How dare you call me a loser?" Even though she's crashing out because she's losing. Um, and then kind of locks in. And Mercedes at her best is very strategic. She fights on her own terms. Yes, she fights a lot, but it's always on her terms. And she made a rash decision and told Willow, "I'm going to beat your effing ass on Wednesday." It's a kid show here at the balance sheet. Um, they didn't bleep it, which I loved because it was on pay-per-view and it's on the socials unbleeped as well, which I think is an edge that the character needs. Um, so I love the promo. People are very split on the match, which I think is the point. I think a Willow Mercedes match, if you're going to have it, you want the crowd to not know who's going to win. Raj, who do you think's going to win?
I think Mercedes is going to lose by disqualification. I think she's going to get desperate to try to win the match. She's going to cheat, but she's going to get caught cheating, and that's going to lead to another crash out because now she not only can't win, she can't even cheat properly. And I just think that that's the story you tell. Taking the TBS title off of her for Willow is not a problem. It's there's no build up. And
Yeah,
I just don't think you can just for like you're not going to get a rating out of this because it's on New Year's Eve, so nobody's going to be watching it anyway. So
right. Omaha,
I
Nebraska, it's not a big crowd. Like
yeah,
it's not like the Alex thing where it was 11,000 people were in the stadium, right? With
yeah.
Alex Windsor.
I just think that this is more of a storytelling device for the Mercedes crash out. Like she's going to lose, but she's not going to lose because she's going to get pinned. She's going to lose because she's going to get caught cheating. And I think, you're going to hear her talk about how, the ref this or that. Like they're going down a path where she's just going to blame everybody, but eventually she's going to look in the mirror and realize she's the problem and she's the one who has lost her edge. And yes, I agree with you that it was one of the best promos of her career. And I think it was the best promo she's ever cut in AEW. And I think this is the first time that I am compelled with her character, not her in-ring work, because that's always good. But this character that they're doing with her, I'm interested in because I'm like, okay, when's the next crash out coming? And what's it going to be like? Like, is she going to be like on her car jumping up and down? I don't know, but I'm excited to see where it goes.
Same here. And yeah, I think the spectrum of what could happen on Wednesday is Mercedes cheats and gets caught, disqualified and loses. If she wins, it's going to be blatant cheating, not eye poke, not foot on the ropes. It's like hit with a belt, like full blown cheating. And that's the only way she can win now. That's the spectrum of what we're going to see. Um, Real quick, I put that was one of my favorite Mercedes promos out there on X, and I got DM'd by a troll, and I didn't respond to the because why would I? But they said, yeah, Mercedes can only do a promo backstage, a good promo backstage. Here's my retort. Look up Ric Flair best promos ever, Randy Savage best promos ever. A large part of the list for both of them happened backstage, not in the middle of the ring. The Ric Flair promo that everyone was putting out there a week ago, the great one, the Vader promo, talking about why would I be afraid of him, the plane crash promo. That was
Mhm.
backstage, with Mean Gene. So we don't take away points here for where the promo happened. If it's compelling for the character and it's locked in like hers was last night, that's a great promo. I don't care where it was.
Yeah, the irrelevant talking point on if it's
Yeah.
in the middle of the ring, if it's in a parking lot, if it's backstage. The best promo of all time, in my opinion, in the history of wrestling is Dusty Rhodes' Hard Times.
Right.
Well, where was that, right? It was Gordon Soley backstage, and he's talking about, textile workers and all that stuff, but it's backstage. We've
The
got
in-ring promo is a Stone Cold thing, right? That's where that started.
we've
As
gotten Yeah, we it's because Monday Night Raw, when it became a live TV show instead of the taped show that they would give you segments with primetime wrestling, then they used the ring as kind of the end all be all to do all these segments. But the reality is a promo doesn't matter where it is. If it's good, it's good, right? And
yeah.
you can't take points away from Mercedes because of that. And obviously, a promo and her, it's always going to be um a what is it? What is the word I'm looking for? Polarizing, because either you think Mercedes is a good promo or you think she's like the worst promo of all time. And I think that she has enough material in her career where that if she's given the right, talking points, bullet points,
Character direction, I'd call
whatever
it.
you
Yeah.
call it, she can be compelling, right? I remember the one with John Morrison on the SmackDown, the Talking Smack one, where she's like, Bailey, I am a star. That was excellent. When she was in the middle of the ring after she won the title from Bailey, and she's like, this is what you've driven me to. I thought that was good. I thought she and Becky had a really good face to face when she returned with the blue hair. She's had enough in her career where she has been a good, compelling promo. Yes, she's had stuff that sounded like she was reading a teleprompter because clearly she probably was. Like they told her, go out there and memorize the script and do this. But what we have to understand is that her gift is as a performer in the ring. So even if she's a 7 out of 10 on promos, because she's like a 10 out of 10 in the ring, the promo will always be the weakest part of her game because her in-ring wrestling is at a peak. So, how many wrestlers of all time are 10 out of 10 in a promo and a 10 out of 10 as a wrestler? Savage is one, Eddie Guerrero is one, Kurt Angle. There's very few. So I think that we should be happy that they're giving her a character, that they're giving her a story, and they're giving her the platform to have these kind of promos. Because I got to be honest, that was very good. I watched that thing like 10 times because I loved how she went by the interviewer, went to her dressing room, destroyed everything. The camera slowly caught it. Then she came back out like nothing happened. Like, she's completely delusional
I'm
that
ready for my interview.
yeah, like, hey, yeah, yeah, nothing happened. And then when the lady said, hey, you're kind of a loser now, it triggered her and she got mad and she went crazy. And I'm like, great, this is what I want. And I know, and I hope they even change her music and stuff. Like, I want a complete different character. And I think we're getting that. I think she's going to be like the crash out CEO. Like, I look at it like, when a CEO is about to be booted out of a company, they kind of go on this downward spiral. That's what I want to see. And I love it. And I was very compelled. So, um, we covered the tag match and we have the match on Wednesday. So you think same thing like me, Mercedes is going to
She's
a
not losing the TBS title in Omaha, Nebraska,
yeah.
unless Tony just the only reason to do it would be a little bit of shock value, kind of throw a change up, and then you plan on having January be this big month where she's going to be on TV like literally fully crap. Like the only reason to do it is you have a plan for where she needs to get to in January and February so that by evolution or revolution, which is like 3 months away, the only reason to have her lose to Willow would be if you have an endpoint at Revolution that needs to start now. But other than that, I don't think she's losing the
What do you
belt.
think of this? Athena tries to help her, but hits her, but gets caught. It's a DQ against Willow because she hits Mercedes with something, and the ref is like, "Oh, the winner of the match is Mercedes because she got hit." And it's like Athena's like, "Hey, I needed to get you back in the win column almost." Like it's almost like they do something like that. I'm okay with any of these scenarios. The scenario I am not okay with is her just losing the title um with a 3-day buildup. Like that's a WCW thing. Like they got to
Yeah.
do better than that. So speaking of world champions, our AEW Women's World Champion is Chris Statlander, and she defended her title against Jamie Hayter. These are two AEW, as I like to call them, originals. They had a hell of a match. I watched it back this morning on my TV. It was physical. It was like a Joshi match out of the 90s to me. They beat the tarp out of each other. They tried new things. One of the better drop kicks I've ever seen off of an announce table was Jamie's drop kick to Chris. That was fantastic. The Falcon Arrow spinning in the air off the top rope. That move was like, whoa, I hope they hit that clean because a lot could go wrong. Chris won the match. The crowd was good for about 6 minutes of this match. They sucked for the rest of it.
Yeah.
I really like this match. It was a match that I probably will watch again on mute to not hear the crowd. But I'm kind of getting to a point with AEW's crowds that either they're going to start to embrace women's wrestling or they're never going to embrace it. Because I feel like these two women deserve the full attention of the crowd because they're not outsiders. They're not playing a quirky character like Tony Storm. They're just tough professional wrestling women and they fit the genre of AEW. So I'm very surprised that this didn't get a better reaction. But I loved the match and I thought it was an excellent, excellent outing for both women.
Yeah, I don't even know where to start. So, what I'll start with is giving Chris and Jamie props. If you told me that this was one of your top 10 matches for women this year, I wouldn't argue with you if it snuck into someone's top 10. If it, because it checks a lot of boxes. Um, I could see someone that likes a physical match with a lot of realistic seeming painful spots. This is high up there, like you said, like a Joshi match. I had to give it the same treatment that I gave Chris and Mercedes as I watched it again without sound. Um, so I want to give the women full props. Jamie and Chris tore it down. Um, I think it was a great match, and they deserve better than what the crowd gave them. I think Chris has been really good as champion. Um, the match with Mercedes was excellent. This match with Jamie was excellent. Um, she is a champion that for her to stay over and get over, it's going to be through ring work. She's not going to go out there and do either a Ric Flair promo or whatnot, and that's fine. She's not a bad promo either, but the compelling thing about her is the way that she works in the ring. Um, I thought Jamie, unfortunately she got injured middle of the year, but I think she had a really good 2025 when you look back at it. Her match with Mercedes, I had as the third best match of the year. Um, I thought she was great in Blood and Guts. And I thought she was very, very good in this match. So as someone who wasn't following her, AEW when she was champion, I've become a Jamie fan. I really like the way that she does works in the ring. The AEW fans, I don't know what they want. Uh, this is essentially Charlotte Flair versus Bayley for them. You know what I mean? Like this is if Bianca and Rhea wrestle each other, you're guaranteed to get a reaction. These are homegrown, didn't accomplish much anywhere else, right? Neither one of them was ever in WWE as a name talent. I think Chris did one dark match as an enhancement talent, one or two of those. But these are women who Jamie actually doesn't even have a huge background in the Brit wrestling scene, right? Like she wasn't there that long. AEW identified her talent and she's been on the roster for pretty close to the inception. So if you're a fan that go, oh, I don't like Mercedes, you don't like Tony, because Tony started these are roots started in AEW and they went out there and put it all on the line. Couple dangerous spots, right? AEW like spots that uh almost inverted pile driver or pile driver package pile driver, I guess, spinning package pile driver.
Um, it's like the Falcon Arrow package pile driver kind of hybrid.
Spinning too, right? Off the top rope
So
is
it's like
ex
a Blue Thunder package power bomb, um,
I
Falcon Arrow.
I would say that that was the craziest spot of the night on the whole card, which is saying something. Moxley and Fletcher had a
Yeah, that's
crazy those two spots were the two craziest
the
spots.
one where I thought Fletcher he broke his neck.
Yeah,
That's
that one.
yeah, okay.
Those are two spots that they will not let you do in most wrestling companies. Like I'm not even saying WWE, like House of Glory would probably be like, probably not, don't do that. Um, and that's what it takes to pop an AEW crowd, and they still didn't really give the match what it deserved. So, um, I think Tony Khan needs to take a long look at this. Women's wrestling is on an even playing field forever in the future of wrestling. Um, in WWE, the one gripe is it doesn't main event. It's fully embraced. Doesn't main event pay-per-views like it should, but the women are treated as main event players. It's fully embraced by the WWE crowd. Women's wrestling's fully embraced by a Rev Pro crowd. Women's wrestling's fully embraced by CMLL crowd this year. Obviously, Stardom. NJPW is probably the only other in Japan, the only other crowd that it's maybe not fully immersed in yet, but they have Stardom. NJPW crowds in the States, it's fully embraced. Some of the best crowds they've had were from for Mercedes, even when Okada's on the card. You know what I mean? So it's like everywhere but AEW, it's uneven. If they're in England, women get a great reaction. If they're in LA, women get a great reaction. They shouldn't not get a reaction in Chicago. They shouldn't not get a reaction in Newark. They should not get a reaction in Toronto, but that's three of the last four pay-per-views. That's been a real thing. And it's not just one performer, it's many of the performers. So um, I think these are the guys that were chanting CM Punk during horsewomen matches, in 2017, and they moved away from WWE because they were unhappy with that product, and now they're in the AEW crowd just sitting on their hands. It hurts the product because this is high level, top of the world wrestling, and they're um, not giving it the reaction it deserves.
Let me
It's
ask, did you
frustrating.
watch the mixed nuts match?
I did.
So that match got a huge crowd reaction, right? Then that was the match right before the women's match,
Yep.
correct?
Hmm.
So I have a theory. That match was a lot of comedy, right? You had like Marina Shafir kicking her husband hitting her back. You had Tony Storm and Orange Cassidy doing the dance thing,
Yeah.
and the crowd was fully into it. Is there a portion of the AEW audience that sees the women as a comedy act? And so they'll react to something like that, but they won't react to them having a serious wrestling match because the reaction in the mixed nuts match, if they use that same volume for Chris and Jamie, I think that would have been good for the setting of that match. And I wondered, I was thinking about it, like they love the character Tony Storm because she's kind of a goof, right? And they like look at her as a goof and they react to her and they do
They
that.
react to Harley, right? And
Yeah.
Harley's done a great job improving in the ring, but the base of why people like her is because of the comedic aspect and how
Yeah.
talented she is in many different things. And
And
so yeah,
even
there might
Willow,
be,
right? Like Willow is like a pure white meat baby face. She comes, she's clapping.
yeah,
And it's like Chris and Jamie are serious grapplers, right?
Mercedes, Athena, serious grapplers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're like, they're not out there to, win a comedy routine. They're not gonna ever be the funniest on the mic. They're not gonna do the dance routines. Like the stuff that Tony did with Orange Cassidy, if Mercedes is doing something like that, I would be like, okay, like what bet did she lose backstage? But
When she was doing that with Rich Swann, I was as unhappy as I ever was as a Sasha Banks fan.
that Yeah, I remember because my friend who doesn't work for WWE anymore was working in the weeds then, and she just always tell me like, I'm like, why are they doing this with her? Like, what's the point? And she's like, it's to get Sasha on TV. Like, it's strictly like they don't have anything creative for her, but they want her on TV because she does move the needle. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so they came up and they legitimately told me that her dancing entertained Vince McMahon. Like Vince was highly entertained by her off rhythm dancing.
Well,
So
that's the thing with Vince was he put you up to something, and then if you went out there and you did it with your full gusto, that's how you won Vince over. And she did put her full gusto into that. Probably not what she had, you know, was going to bed thinking about, I think I need to nail a dance move with Rich Swann. But anywho, we digress. I think you have something there with the comedic piece with AEW. Um, Here's my challenge to AEW fans. Where the best wrestle. You have a handful of the best women's wrestlers in the world. Mercedes, Athena, Chris, Jamie, all are four of the top women's wrestlers in the world. Maya World, who you just signed in 5 years, I would bet is going to be one of the best women's wrestlers in the world. Um, Serious wrestling is the core piece of why AEW exists, and that applies to the women as well, and you need to treat it as
like
such
I
too.
like I watched right after I watched Chris versus Jamie, I got a house show feed and I sent it to you of, well, maybe I didn't. It was EO versus Roxanne at a house show in Tampa.
Yeah.
The crowd was so into that match. Like the crowd was hot. Like they were cheering EO, they were booing Roxanne, they were
I
yelling. Like the kids, you could hear the little kids, whoever was taking taping this on their cell phone, you could hear little kids going EO, EO, EO. And I was like, man, this is a house show and this crowd is super hot. And then you watch a match in AEW where the women are beating the tar out of each other and as a professional wrestling match, I'm not saying I'm saying like it's a pay-per-view match. One is a house show match, right? So house show matches are supposed to be kind of static. And it's like you would think that this was the pay-per-view match because of how invested the crowd was compared to the actual pay-per-view match for the world championship, right? Like this is the
yeah.
big belt. So
So, you know, I think there's a weird dichotomy. The crowd isn't caught up yet. AEW, there's a high level of respect paid, at least on the match production for the women. Generally speaking, the women's title matches in AEW get 25 to 40% more time than WWE matches do on a pay-per-view, right? Like you're going 16 to 24 minutes. TBS to world title gets 16 to 24 minutes. That last night was the first ever tag women's championship on a main card or on a pay-per-view, and they got 16 minutes.
yeah,
Um, that's that's the thing that's great about the AEW women's division. However, the way that they're treated in a whole, TV time, story development time, the announce crew is not nearly at WWE's level. WWE, to their credit, has fully immersed women's wrestling into their show where you're not counting women's segments very often anymore. Or if you are, it's because the show's just bad in general, like SmackDown has been bad for most of the year. But generally, we don't need to count women's segments. Multiple women get developed with backstage material, and the crowd reacts to the women at the same or even higher, consistently higher level than they do most of the men. So kudos to WWE there. The gripe with WWE is, well, damn it, sometimes we just want to see Io and Roxanne wrestle for 18 minutes and have a real outcome. You know what I mean? Like, I want that one day, and we don't know that we'll always get that because we don't always get those fully satisfying matches with an outcome that's satisfying. But I think this is a good time to pivot. I think WWE's done a lot of great stuff with their women's division over the last year, 2 years. Um, as far as the weekly shows go, they're on equal footing or higher to the men. So that being
So
said, we had a couple good matches starting with Raw this week. Why don't you go ahead and dive in and talk about those?
I will. I'll give you my. I'll set up Raw, but I have a question for you. So
Yeah.
obviously, as a wrestling fan, we want everything our way, like Burger King. But both of these companies do something. Okay, so you have the AEW where they're giving you the 16, 18-minute women's matches, but the crowd is only invested for a part of that match.
Right.
Or you get the 12-minute WWE match, but the crowd's into the whole match. Which one would you prefer? You can only have one.
12-minute match, the crowd's all into it, and
16-minute match, but the crowd's into a percentage of it.
it's on a pay-per-view though, on a PLE,
Both are on pay-per-views. Yeah.
the 12 minutes.
Okay. Because, like, to me, I think that so then,
I think the one difference is we're getting those AEW matches every pay-per-view, and we don't get the women's,
yeah,
even the 12 minutes every
yeah, no,
pay-per-view.
I agree with that. Where I was going with this is, do you think that maybe they need to scale the time back for the AEW women on pay-per-view so the crowd could at least be hot for a greater percentage of the match? Because it's almost like the crowd knows that this match is going to take 18 minutes, so they start to wake up like the last 5, 6 minutes. I don't think that's the answer. I'm just trying to, like, because again, I sat in an audience with a pay-per-view match, and it's the only AEW pay-per-view I've ever attended, and it's the only Mercedes AEW pay-per-view I've ever attended. And it was her versus Rio, a match that, again, when I got on my timeline, everybody loved and raved about and loved it and talked about it. And I'm like, oh, I was in the crowd, it didn't feel that hot.
Yeah.
Again, you go and watch something at home, it looks so much different. So,
Yeah, I think the answer is in the build.
yeah,
I think so Jamie and Mercedes was hot all the way throughout, and they had a pull apart brawl in that one venue where they had the opera seats. And then the next week they had an in-ring promo. They had a lot of great vignettes and they had a lot of build there. Tony and Mercedes had the crowd's attention the whole time. There was a lot of build there. I don't think Jamie and Chris were given, they were given segments every week, but like they didn't invest nearly as much time as it is they did the men's title, right? And I think Chris is deserving of better builds. And I think the AEW crowd, for at least the women's title, if you give them a better build, they're going to be into the match quicker. Um, but AEW fans tell me that this is a yearly thing. Tony Khan gets into this Continental Classic thing and he obsesses over it, and everything else becomes secondary.
that's what it
And
felt like, and maybe that's reality, and
he's
maybe
got to stop doing that. His women's roster at this point is too important.
or maybe he needs to do a Continental Classic for the women, and maybe that would help.
If he did that once and he put the time into it that he does for the men, I think you would get eight deep with with um women that AEW crowd cares about. If you let Mercedes go have a TV match produced like Kyle Fletcher and Speedball Bailey got to do with that kind of time and that kind of effort put into a match, um,
That was a good match. That
That
was a
was
good.
a great match. That's one of my favorite men's matches, and that's not even the style of match I like, but it was so good.
That was great.
Um, so I think a women's Continental Classic is definitely a way that we could get some growth there. We are gonna go move on to
Yeah.
WWE. Raw, we had two matches. It's funny because we're talking match times. Asuka and Rhea got 18 minutes,
Hmm.
and it was surprise, surprise, a very good match that the crowd cared about. Bailey, Roxanne, 10 minutes and 40 seconds, so not terrible. Um, Pretty light on matches actually for Raw. There were only four total, but two of them were women. What do you think of Asuka Rhea?
I think this is the best Oscar rematch. I'm
I
pretty
agree.
sure it is. I remember they had one at WrestleMania. I wasn't too fond of it. It was okay. This is definitely the best Oscar rematch I can remember. I think the story in this match was great. You know, Io is quote unquote medically uncleared um, to work, but then funny enough, they promote her on house shows, which it's like, wait a minute, is she not? But I'm kidding. So Io coming out, to help Rhea, but then Rhea, sacrificed herself for Io. That's how she ended up losing. So I thought the story was really good here. Rhea can certainly afford to take a pin. And honestly, I think that these are, two of the best women, and I enjoyed this match a lot. I loved how much time they got. I loved how physical they are. They were both very crisp. I think the storytelling with Kyrie and Io was great. And the women's tag division in WWE might be the best division in all of women's wrestling right now because they seem to have a real focus on pushing the tag titles, and it feels like it's a bigger deal to me than the singles belts. And I was all for this match. Like I loved it. It was great. I watched it twice, and I hope that when we get the January 5th tag title match between Kabuki Warriors and Rio, that they get time. They get like 20
Yeah.
minutes. They go out there and cook.
Yeah, if you're a WWE fan listening to this and you think I'm being critical of them because you watched Raw and you're like, what more could you ask for from the women? They're equal or higher esteem sometimes. I want exactly what we got on Raw, but like I want it on the bigger stages too, right? I want Asuka and Rhea to be able to have this match at um Survivor Series, right? Like I want Stephanie, the women's match on Survivor Series was Stephanie and Nikki. They weren't given the production time nor freedom to put on a match like this. And I'm not even going to get into whether they could or not. They weren't even given the chance, right? And so I think it does matter. Weekly TV is great, but the true equality that we fight for on this show is that the women get to main event the big shows. They get as much time as the men. They get as much storytelling time as the men. I do think WWE is laps ahead of AEW because pay-per-view time doesn't mean jack if the crowd doesn't know why they care about the match, right? So it's like AEW's got step nine figured out, whereas WWE's got steps one through seven and then step 10 figured out, and they're just trying to fill in eight and nine, if that makes sense. But I love the match too. I do agree with you. It was the best Asuka Rhea match. I love the storytelling. They're certainly putting a lot of effort into the tag division because we had some of that also on the SmackDown card, which we'll talk about. Um, and then the other match on this was really a tag division match. We had Bailey with Lyra accompanying her, defeating Roxanne with Liv Morgan accompanying her. I thought this was an important win. Um, it's pretty out there what I think Bailey should do with her career at this point, but 2025 was not kind to Bailey. Bailey lost a lot in 2025. And not necessarily lost a lot of matches, but every match that she needed to win, she lost, right? And so it's nice to see her kind of finish up the year with a win, um, over someone, Roxanne, who also does a fair amount of losing, but as a heel, it's not as big of a deal for her to lose. Bailey's a baby face. When you're losing as much as you are, as Bailey is as a face, That's 2018 Sasha Banks alignment, which is not where you want to be.
This match was important because it planted more seeds
Yep.
of the Judgment Day explosion, right? And that's really what I took out of this match, which is, you know, Liv is now helping Roxanne. It was always Roxanne, or sorry, Liv and Raquel. Then Raquel comes out and they get into a little like, hey, what are you doing here? And that costs Roxanne the match. So more and more seeds are being planted of a Judgment Day implosion, which I think is good because I think this group has been together way too long. And I think we need to see something fresh out of them. Like they,
Do you see a rift and a split and two groups staying together as separate
yeah,
entities?
I
I
think
do.
Dom and Liv are gonna be a couple. Like they're gonna keep them, and I think Finn and Roxanne are gonna be a couple on screen. Like I think because remember Roxanne was brought into the Judgment Day by Finn. My issue is that I'd like okay, I love Bailey, but I don't think she should use the elbow as a finisher because I feel like, like you have Kyrie already have it. So I'd like to see Bale. I'm one of the few who love the Rose Plant as a finishing move.
I like
So
the Rose Plant, yeah.
that was my one nitpick of this match. But I love the character of like how Bailey is like one Bailey and then Lyra slaps her and then she wakes her up and she becomes like the other Bailey. Like I like that dynamic too. So yeah, I thought the women represented on Raw very well because on top of these two matches, we got an excellent Maxine and Becky segment,
We did.
right? Where, Becky's out there, she's doing the Becky, she's basically saying everybody sucks and, she's the best. And then Maxine came out and said, "You are the best ever, but I only beat you once. I only beat you twice. I beat you." And then the crowd's like, "Three times." And I thought Maxine looked super strong here. She got the upper, Becky punched her in the face, got the upper end on her, but then Maxine was the one standing tall, making her tap to the ankle lock, which, now it's in Becky's mind. Oh, she can make me tap. Like she can beat me.
Does she beat Becky clean on January 5th?
And she doesn't beat her clean. AJ's gonna help, but she'll win.
Okay.
Yeah,
Um,
I think to be because I think you need something to happen to Becky to keep this everybody's against me conspiracy theory story. If she loses clean, is she gonna keep using the "oh, I was tapping because there was a fly there"? Like she's already used that like four times.
yeah.
I think to me, I actually would love Jessica Carr to do a fast count. Like I would love something like that where it's like Jessica's like, and then she's like, "Oh, my hand was shaking," so like almost spin it back on Becky. But it feels like to me to have something in Maxine and that they shouldn't take the title off her right away because now you're just telling me that you did it for a moment and they got to get out of that mindset. Like they got to like to me, I think Roxanne should beat Maxine. And I think Liv and Roxanne should be the WrestleMania match for the IC title. And I think
Yeah.
that's a good match.
Yeah, I agree. Quick early Royal Rumble prediction. I'm gonna put in my vote that Lyra is the Iron Woman. I bet you Lyra is number one or two, three at the latest in the ring, and I bet you she goes 50, 60 minutes in the ring.
I
Because
can,
I think that now the Iron Woman's almost always a baby face unless if it's a heel, they're winning. You know what I mean? And so I don't uh so I think Lyra is the person that the office would look at and say the work has been incredible. It matches the gradual push you're trying to give everyone. And the Iron Woman essentially should be, and they haven't gotten to do this in Royal Rumbles because they didn't really do it with Sasha and they didn't do it with Natty. But for the men, the Iron Man is like always a great indicator that in like a year and a half, 2 years, that person's winning the title. And I loved how they did that when I was growing up. When you'd have a guy come in at third that you're like, ah, I never really thought of this guy as a champion. And then he's in the Rumble for 50 minutes mixing it up with the champions. You're like, oh, this guy. Bret Hart was the first Iron Man that the office had essentially anointed and said, this you'll matter as a singles wrestler. Because at the time he was the Iron Man, he was still, Hart Foundation was still his main gig.
You,
But I
you know,
love that part of the Royal Rumble is one of my favorite things to watch.
I actually agree that it would be Lyra because that's what they do, but it shouldn't be Lyra. It
Who
should be
should it be?
Kendall Gray.
Kendall Gray would be, I mean, if you're gonna attach the rocket ship, then yeah, that's a great one too. Absolutely.
That
I
would
see her
be,
more of like surprise entrant doing like 28, 31 minutes, something like that.
yeah, yeah, I see that more because that's how they book. But if I had the pen, it would be she'd be number one, and Kendall Gray would be one of the last four women, and she'd be the fourth of the four who gets eliminated, and then you have like Bianca, Liv, and whoever else it is. But that's how I would do it. And honestly, you could make a case for Lyra being in the final three. Like Lyra has put in the work. I know the crowd's gonna want Rhea, the crowd's gonna want Io, the crowd's gonna want. Here's the other thing that we're not talking about. Isn't the Royal Rumble in Saudi Arabia this year?
It is.
Okay, so how much of the booking is going to be controlled by the royal family, right? Like, because they have their preferences in that country of who they want to see pushed. So, are we sure we're going to get like a straight, this is what the WWE plan is and who's going to win? Or have they already predicted the winner based on the crowd reaction they'll get in that building? I don't know. I mean, it's time will tell, I guess.
Yeah. I think it'd be interesting because WrestleMania is not there. So the Royal Rumble winners are directly correlated to WrestleMania. So that will be interesting. No, but Rumble season is my favorite time of the year. At this point, I think I enjoy the Rumble often more than I enjoy even WrestleMania. Um, because one of the reasons we do this show is we like to see, underdogs and early bets come to fruition, and you can kind of see who's working their way up in importance. And frankly, sometimes you have someone who has an uninspired Rumble appearance. Um, lets them know that they've got some work to do to get back into favor. Becky famously says that the way she was kind of an afterthought in the first Rumble kind of let her know that what she was doing wasn't working. Um, and then you look, and by the next year, she was the hottest thing in women's wrestling because she changed up what she worked on changing up what she was doing.
As somebody who attended the second ever Women's Royal Rumble in Phoenix, Arizona, where, Becky won. Royal Rumble was invented, by a Canadian, Pat Patterson. First ever Royal Rumble was in Hamilton, Ontario, primetime wrestling. It wasn't even a pay-per-view. It was on primetime wrestling, won by Hacksaw Jim Duggan. It is my favorite singular wrestling concept.
Yep.
Like I like it better than Money in the Bank. I like it better than Falls Count Anywhere. Like I love the gambling aspect of it. I love the who's next aspect of it, like the surprise factor. But I gotta tell you this, if I'm gonna get what I got last year, they can keep it. If I ever see 18 women get eliminated in 2 seconds again, like I did last year, I don't want it because that
Protecting the winner by having the six people women cared about most eliminated all at once so that you don't get a Roman Reigns, Philadelphia moment is one of the most cowardly things the WWE has actually ever done. And it was the biggest admission I've ever seen. And I love what Charlotte's doing right now, but it's the biggest admission I've ever seen of like, we know this result sucks, but we're doing it anyway. That's the
yeah,
biggest
right.
they've ever admitted. We know this isn't great for y'all, but we're doing it anyway.
Who was this? Is Roxanne the other was the finalist,
I
or was
think
it
so.
Naya?
I know Nia eliminated like Liv, Bianca,
Okay.
Io, like if you look at Nia has the greatest, I'll also call it the worst. It's the greatest elimination in Royal Rumble history. the amount of championships and overness and fan support she eliminated all at once will never be topped.
Right. And it
Everyone's
also,
hopes
and
and
I hope I
dreams all
never
at
see it
once.
again. I hope I never see it again too.
Right.
You're right. So flipping over to SmackDown, we talked about Maxine and Becky. On SmackDown, a taped show, you had Julia fight. Help me out. Was Julia fighting Chelsea in a non-title match?
No, it was a tag match.
It was tag match.
It was a
Sorry.
tag
It's
match. It was
her,
her and Kiana versus Alba and Chelsea Green.
and she pinned Chelsea. Um, they got to do something with Julia. Like they got to repackage her. They got to maybe send her back to NXT. They got to honestly change her, not even change her look. They got to almost move her to Raw. Like I said, my idea still stands. I would have her join the Kabuki Warriors January 5th and let the Kabuki Warriors win the tag belt or retain the tag belts because I honestly I could have read a book with the limited crowd noise. And here's the funniest part about that. They tried to pipe in crowd noise and it still didn't work. It was that quiet. So
4 minute match.
yeah, not
4 minute
just
match
bad.
in a tag match is just the laziest thing that could possibly ever exist. And um, this WWE fandom is about as cooperative of a partner as WWE has ever had. I
Mhm.
mean, you look back at some of those, WrestleManias, they didn't even get every match that people cared about as much as they do on these weekly shows. Um, and life should be easy for them. All they have to do is put competent product out there. And somehow this match, I mean, it's as quiet of a 1, 2, 3 as I've ever seen in the WWE. I mean, if if Julia or Chelsea had said anything to each other, like sometimes performers say good match or thank you or whatever when someone puts them over, like it would have been picked up by the mics. It was cricket quiet there, and that's embarrassing. Alba and Chelsea are very talented. Kiana James has a lot of upside, and Julia is one of the biggest free agent signings of the last 3 years for them. And they've done such a poor job with these women that the crowd cares less about this than just about anything that's been on WWE TV in a long time, and it's sad. Um, it's not good.
The other thing we got on SmackDown was Charlotte Flair versus Lash Legend. Good match.
Yep,
Liked it. I wouldn't have pinned Lash. I
I
understand
wouldn't have either.
they
Yeah,
protected her. Kind of the reversal of Alexa helping her get the win. But I don't know, like I feel like they had some like Lash was protected, but I still wouldn't have pinned her. I would have, you know how I would have protected her even more? Had her make the pin. Like to me, if you're trying to tell me Lash is the next destroyer, she should beat Charlotte Flair. And she beat Alexa already. So
right.
I like the match. I am everything Char Alexa, so I like anything I get with them. But I did think Lash should have won this match. And I thought the backstage stuff was really good where you had all four teams. And that set up an 8-woman tag this Friday on the first 3 hour SmackDown, return to 3 hours. You have the Kabuki Warriors and what are the bougie badasses against Charlexa and Rio. And I guess the only thing I can see as the outcome is either Io or Rhea pin Kyrie setting up the January 5th match because it feels like that's um what they're going towards.
That
And I,
match is official though, right?
huh?
Is that match official?
The tag title match?
Yeah.
Yeah, January 5th.
Yeah, then don't you think maybe I don't know if Rhea or because Rio are gonna win. So maybe one of them takes the loss here.
Maybe. I
I think they're gonna win on January 5th.
Well, they are the overwhelming betting odds to win on January
Right.
5th. But I think that to me, Io and Rhea winning the tag belts, while I'll be very happy, I mean, I gotta be honest. I don't like, are they gonna end up defending the tag belts at WrestleMania? Like, are they gonna get that far with the tag belts? Like, I still think the story is at some point Rhea has to say, I gotta beat this woman. I've never beaten her, and I gotta end up getting, that. And with Triple H coming, I know he says a lot of things, and I couldn't trust if he told me the sky was blue, but he told me Io and Rhea are far above every other women. So to me, putting them in a tag team to defend the tag belts. Now, them against Charlexa at WrestleMania would be awesome because they would get the time, they would get the energy, they would get the production to have a great match. But I don't know if I would put four of the top women I have in a tag match.
Yeah.
Now, the positive of that is it opens the door for fresher talent to get these single spots, which I'm all for as well. So, um, I the other thing is with Jade, so the other thing I want to talk about is Jade Cargill. I think she's doing really good work as a heel. Here's the problem though. She hasn't defended her title. She's had the
I
belt
was
for
gonna say
2
the
months.
exact same thing.
She's
I
had her
love the backstage work. I love her character work, but they got to get her out there. The one of the rare times that I would advocate for a squash, bring someone up from NXT, bring up even someone a name from NXT. Like it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world to have her on the 3 hour SmackDown like squash like Jada Parker or something. Because you would be telling everyone, "Oh, Jada Parker, I know her. She's good." And you could have Jade beat her pretty handily and people be like, "Oh shit, heel Jade means business," right?
Yeah.
That's where we need to be right now.
It feels like BFAB is turning on Michin to align with Jade. That's what I get out of the tea
Right.
leaves. And I'm fine with that. I mean, if it gives BFAB more of a spotlight managing Jade or being like Jade's lackey, this feels like they're doing the Red Velvet Jade kind of deal all over again. So
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. What did you think?
Just about Jade?
Yeah, like not just Jade, but Jade Michin is the match, I
Oh,
think, on the
yeah, yeah.
SmackDown.
I like that. I don't want her squashing Michin. That's why I advocated for someone else. Michin's exactly who I would be putting her in the ring with because while squashes would work for the character, after if I'm going to sit here and say I didn't love Tiffany's run, I can't say I like Jade's run when she's not even wrestling. And I would like some good matches from her. I think Michin is still one of the most underrated talents in the whole world. I think she's very much on that Bailey spectrum of she's going to get a competent match if as long as she's given time about out of anyone. Um, and I think her and Jade have wrestled a couple times, and I thought it was pretty good. So I like it. I like Michin. The only downside to it is you just conditioned the crowd that Michin just doesn't win anything important, right? She is the entire Chelsea Green defense list of that title, essentially of the U.S. title. So. Um, that part's not great. So the crowd's not for any 1 second going to believe Michin's going to win. So it's hard to have a great match in that scenario. But she's very very good, and I think a safe person to put in there with Jade.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think there's a lot of good stuff brewing for the women. SmackDown going to 3 hours, I think can only be a positive. I think
Gonna
it'll
help.
get more women on TV. SmackDown's such a poorly written show, and it's such a bad show that they need all the help they can get. And I thought it was a better show at 3 hours. The Netflix Raw, from what I know of this situation, it's going to be treated going forward as a pay-per-view. Every year, the first edition of the year on Raw for Netflix is going to be a pay-per-view level card. And this is no different. You are getting some A plus stuff on the card. You're getting an Intercontinental Women's title match and you're getting a women's tag title match. And and we didn't even talk about it. See, and this is WWE's poor booking before we get to our end of the year awards. We have a triple threat match for the women's title on Monday Night Raw.
Yep.
We have La Primera, Stephanie Vicaire, defending her title against Nikki Bella Fly Eagles Fly, and Raquel Rodriguez. So, what do you think is going to happen with this match? I have my own prediction.
I think that there's just enough wrinkled fabric in what's going on right now that I could see like Nikki Bella winning this title. I'm not predicting it, but it's a card that wasn't in the deck before that I think is at least being they're shuffling a couple times and they're going to see if it comes out at the top. I think this match has been put together to change the direction of what's happening with this Raw title. Whether that means a turn by somebody or a championship change. I think it's an important match to watch. I don't think this is just going to be a ho-hum title defense. What do you think?
I think that I could see Nikki Bella winning the title, and I might even predict it. I think Nikki Bella is going to win the title to lose it at Royal Rumble back to Stephanie.
Yeah,
That's my prediction. I think they want Nikki Bella as the biggest international star to have something on that Royal Rumble card.
yeah.
Nikki Bella is much more well known in Saudi Arabia than pretty much anybody on that roster. She's a Dancing with the Stars person, she's a reality TV star, and those type of shows do monster business overseas. I think Nikki Bella is going to win the title here. I think Nikki Bella is pinning Raquel. She is
Hmm.
not pinning Stephanie Vacour. She's going to get the title. Stephanie is going to be getting her rematch because it's going to be one-on-one. She will win the title back at the Royal Rumble. They will still stay on the same trajectory of Stephanie having a big match at WrestleMania. But I think Nikki Bella, yeah, that is my prediction. My
That's a
prediction,
great prediction because I'll layer it in one more. I wouldn't want Nikki in the Royal Rumble in Saudi
yeah,
Arabia
yeah,
because
I
I
would.
think she'll be more over than what the what the regular world um the way she'll be more over than what she's written, right? They'll want her to win more than what the story calls for. And I think that's a great use of both of them on that card. It's a
Yeah,
great
I
spot that
think
Nikki's earned, and yeah.
Nikki Bella is going to be on the Today Show. Nikki Bella is going to be on Good Morning America. Nikki Bella is going to be all over with that title. And it's a great story. Comeback, had a kid, legend returns, wins the
One of
title.
these women that have come back has to win the title at some point, right? If you're going to put them in the matches, they can't always be fodder to lose.
Yeah, I think Raquel's going to take the pin because Liv or Roxanne or both by accident cost her, and it kind of gives us more tension with the Judgment Day. And I think that, that's how we're gonna do this. But I think Stephanie's losing, and I think she's losing where she doesn't take the pin because
Yeah,
I think that's the only reason you make this a three-way
that's a
is
great call.
you're taking the title off of her. And I think that that gives us another thing to watch for January 5th because what will Nikki Bella's first promo be on January 5th in kind of what's going to be their big audience? So yeah,
Yeah.
I think if you think back, I'm gonna do my calendar here. 2005, Edge or 2006, Edge cashed Money in the Bank on John Cena, held the belt for 3 weeks, lost it to John Cena at the Royal Rumble. It still went John Cena Triple H for WrestleMania, but it allowed them to squeeze a little out of what can Edge do as a main event player. Now, Nikki Bella is a Hall of Famer, but maybe they're giving her the belt here. This is my prediction to see what kind of juice she has left. Like if
Hmm.
the crowd really gets behind her or they start to really like her character, maybe they pivot and they say, "Okay, we have something with you, US title, SmackDown. We need the juice." So, I think yeah, my prediction Nikki Bella will be your champion by the time we record next week and she's going to pin Raquel Rodriguez. That is my prediction.
Well, if that happens, that will technically still occur in 2025. So we've got that match. We've got a TBS title match that could still change hands in 2025. But I think overall, both of us and everyone listening here should be looking forward to a good January. Um, I do think 2025 was through and through, if you count Indies, Japan, AEW, WWE. I think it was absolutely the greatest year ever in women's wrestling, just for how much success we're seeing in multiple different places. So, excited to see 2026 hopefully top it. With that said, um, it's time for us to put our bow on 2025.
Yep.
Like I talked about earlier, we've got 15 categories for you. Um, and I will give you the credit for this. We have also gone the additional length to uh, not only create these categories or name the categories, but we're all about history here. I think one of the reasons you guys like hearing us talk wrestling is because we're able to connect some things that have happened in the past. And we wanted to pay homage to the women of the past that have allowed 2025 to be the best year in women's wrestling history. So all of these categories are named with um, something that happened in the past that best represent each category. So, without further ado, sir, would you like to present our first category?
Yes. So our first category, which is the Lita Breakout Star of the Year, goes to the newly signed All Elite Wrestling's Maya World.
Maya World, hell yeah.
Maya World, breakout year for her. Tremendous matches on the indie scene. Great work on AEW and Ring of Honor TV. So much so that, Tony Khan has decided to sign her. And I think the future is only going to get brighter for Maya World, but she is our 2025 Lita Breakout Star of the Year.
Well deserved. That one is already aged very well with her getting signed last night. She also won an indie title on Friday night. And I just think she's made some really good decisions this year. She had a match with Willow. She had a match with Chris Statlander while Chris was already the world champion. So, very, very well earned breakout star Maya World. And I would predict she's going to win many awards in the future. Next category, we have the Stephanie McMahon Heel of the Year. Um, Very, very well named. I think Stephanie, the creator of women's wrestling, Stephanie McMahon, has gotten under just about everyone's skin. Women's wrestling fans, men's wrestling fans. She's good at it. This performer really, I think, stole wrestling when she was at her peak doing her thing. Our Stephanie McMahon heel of the year was Naomi. Um, just an incredible heel turn that mapped out and worked out in a way better than 99% of any heel turns I've ever seen. She really fed into the character, proceed with caution, um, as over as you can be as a heel while also doing your job as a heel to keep the baby faces over. So just a fantastic job by Naomi.
Yeah. First ever non-title singles women's match at WrestleMania she was a part of. So that's a big step in the right direction, and she's a big part of that.
Yep.
So congratulations, Naomi. All right, so the next category is the Miss Elizabeth Babyface of the Year, and that goes to Io Sky. Um, Io, I think of all the women, and I said it last week, ascended to a level that she never ascended to in this, in North America. And, watching the house show video last night of little kids with EO signs and screaming her name, yeah, that's a baby face.
Yep.
I see people saying, why can't she be the next John Cena? And I'm like, well, you said it last week. I didn't. I didn't even put her on my list, but apparently there's real momentum here for EO to be the top baby face in the company. So congratulations, the 2025 Miss Elizabeth Babyface of the Year, EO Sky.
Yeah, I think EO was a shoe-in for this award. if you can hold your own with Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley, well, neither one of them are turned heel, by the way, um, and come out where the crowd decided that you were the person that they were feeling most in that moment. And I'm not just talking about during the match, I'm talking about during the promo, the one you referenced last week with the slaps. Um, and she hasn't really slowed down since. I don't recall one moment since that feud where EO wasn't, one of the most over people in the company. So a very, very well earned babyface of the year, EO Sky. All right. Our Shimmer promotion of the year, giving Shimmer their proper shine as really being one of the core foundational pieces of women being able to wrestle. And put on great matches and be treated as seriously as the men are. Um, Women's only promotion, but they were putting on shows like what you would see in like a men's wrestling promotion. And our promotion of the year is Stardom. Um, Now they are also all women's, and so in that way they have a leg up. But we both thought that they delivered growth within what they do that it was paramount to shout out what they did. Saya was the Athlete of the Year, Tokyo Sports Athlete of the Year. No woman had ever won that award. So Stardom obviously did a lot of really, really great work. Um, their attendance grew throughout the year, and they had some of their best attended shows ever. And so they're the perfect first recipient of the Shimmer Promotion of the Year, Stardom.
All right. The All Japan Pro Wrestling Show of the Year is this one's obvious, Evolution. I think it was the best PLE in all of wrestling
It
in
was.
2025. So I think this is a pretty cut and dry one. Evolution. My only request is we need one every year.
We do. And for anyone listening, this was not picked because it was an all women's pay-per-view. It was the best pay-per-view, top to bottom. Had the best crowd, best quality of matches, top to bottom. Um, and we would have absolutely picked a show with only, three women's matches on it if it was the best show. But this was the best show of the year. All right. Our this is a funny one. Our pre-Mania 35 backstage brawl segment of the year. So named in honor of the famous Charlotte Flair kneeing the crap out of Ronda Rousey while she's cuffed in a car, which was the best part of that Mania 35, the entirety of that thing. Um, Segment of the year. This is a unanimous decision. Um, and what I mean by that is I don't think a single person listening will disagree with this, but the Bianca Belair, Naomi, I Did It segment, we talked about it pretty in length last week. The emotion both women were able to show in this segment, we were hooked. This thing should have won a daytime Emmy the way that it was written out, and really the full-blown Naomi heel turn. Just a fantastic segment that I think we'll watch for years to come.
Yeah, couldn't have said it any better. It's an obvious choice. And Naomi's winning a lot of awards because the next category is one that Naomi will win. It is the AJ Lee Pipe Bombshell Promo of the Year. And it was Naomi's pregnancy promo, which was so good that by the time she left the ring, she was a babyface.
Right.
Which, when she returns, I'm sure she will be a babyface, but she'll have the same character, proceed with cautions, calling everybody heifers. But Naomi, honestly, if Naomi got the whole year, I don't know if I could have said she wouldn't have been my wrestler of the year. Or character of the year because Naomi was on such a hot streak. I mean, she was on fire
Yeah.
and it was not cooling off. And this just kind of proved that, Naomi finally is getting the accolades that she deserves. She's always been one of the most talented women's performers. I've never, ever heard somebody say a bad thing about Naomi, ever.
Yeah.
I can't think of anybody saying a bad thing about her. So I thought that with the promo she cut this year, she was actually probably the as good as Tony Storm on the mic. She just didn't get enough time, but this was a phenomenal promo, her announcing her pregnancy, the way she did it.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite promos also ever. I think, the genuine affection the crowd had for her, how happy they were for her, while also, kind of gritting through it and trying to maintaining character and, don't cheer me, like she was great and really met that moment. So easily the promo of the year. All right, these next couple of categories, we're going to get into some match recognition. So next up, we have the Sarah Del Rey Indie Match of the Year. This was the best match that we thought happened outside of your traditional North American promotions and your big Japanese promotions as well. That would be we chose as the first winner the Emerson Jane versus Mercedes Moné match that happened, I believe, in during the summer in Rev Pro. Um, this match actually was one of the fun times that happened in the middle of the day on a Saturday for both of us, and I
That's
think
great.
we both carved out some time to watch it live, and we were just texting each other after, like, holy crap, didn't expect that to be as good as it was. Neither one of us was super familiar with Emerson heading into it, but damn, did she take advantage of that stage. And that is a highly, highly rewatchable match that I enjoy every time I watch it.
Yes, my favorite independent match of the year, almost my favorite Mercedes match of the year. I think Emerson Jane has a lot of upside, and I don't know why she isn't signed. If Tony Khan is looking for another depth piece, I would highly recommend he looks at Emerson Jane and, obviously also Kanji as well. But yeah, this match was great. You're right. Saturday afternoon, watched on my phone. Was like, whoa. And then I had to watch it again, a couple different times because I'm like, man, this match is as good as I thought it was the first time. Like it's actually that good. Um, Great match. I highly recommend everybody go out there and watch it. So the next award is the Bull Nakano Stipulation Match of the Year, and that is Tam Nakano versus Saya, which is the career versus career loser leaves stardom match, which both of us had as our number two match of the year last week. So this was the best use of a stipulation. You felt the stakes in the match. It felt like, pressure was on both competitors, and they over delivered. I mean, this match is phenomenal. I highly recommend everybody go out there and watch it if you could find it. It is 36 minutes, so it's not a short match, but it's a great piece of storytelling, and I love this match.
Yeah, you nailed it. Fantastic match. Um, sometimes when I go rewatch matches, I want a couple quick hitters, two or three 15-minute matches that I could watch in succession. Um, this will be one of those matches where it's like, if I'm going to go on like a treadmill or I've got like exactly 40 minutes, this is going to be one of the top matches that I throw on. And I think, one of our more popular segments from the last couple months, people really loved hearing the way you talk about Manami Toyota and then me kind of reviewing a lot of her matches for the first time. This was a fantastic, you know, I think it's so important to the Japanese women of that legacy that she leaves, and this type of 36-minute epic that they put together very much lives up to the legacy.
It does.
All right, next up, we have the Four Horsewomen Madison Square Garden Tag Match of the Year. Uh, that is in honor of the, I believe, first SmackDown on Fox, right?
No, it
Second?
was a Raw. It was a Raw
Okay.
in Madison Square Garden. They did have the rematch as the first ever
Yes.
SmackDown on Fox, but that was the match
later.
was like secondary because The Rock came out and anointed Becky
Yeah.
as the next one. Yeah.
Nope, good call. So the Madison Square Garden match, which was a hot, hot, hot match, and was the first time that the four of them had really crossed paths like that in years. And so the crowd was dying for it. Um, so speaking of hot crowds, these women were able to also on Raw take a match that people were excited about, and through incredible work and incredible storytelling throughout the match really work a crowd into a fever pitch. Our tag match of the year is Charlexa versus Bailey and Lyra. Um, just really, really fantastic work. The type of match we dream of when we advocate for women's tag team wrestling. It got time, it mattered. There was story beats throughout the match, there was character development throughout the match. Just a really, really fantastic piece of business. You love this match.
I do. Well, you know what? I love it. And there was a point of this match you said that I didn't, when I was watching the match, I looked at it for just what it was. And then you texted me something because I think you saw the match after I did. And I said, hey, you're gonna love this match. And you said, and this shouldn't be lost on any of us, that you do not anymore take it for granted when the four horsewomen fight each other. Like
Yeah.
when you get Charlotte versus Bailey or you get Bailey versus Becky, because we're never going to get all four for right now. We only get three of them in the same company. And with the way Becky's character is going, I don't see her coming back to Charlotte anytime soon.
Right.
And, the fact that we got like a Charlotte Bailey interaction, high stakes match meant a lot. It was like, it was something that I did take for granted in the moment, but then I rewatched, I'm like, oh, I see what he's talking about. Like they had such crisp interactions in that match. And, I think Charlotte and Alexa have figured it out where Alexa knows how to get beat up now, and Charlotte is like the hot, hot tag.
Yeah.
And she comes in like a house of fire and it works, and the crowd goes crazy for it. And honestly, Lyra is amazing. She's a hell of a performer. And again, I have to give Alexa a lot of credit. Since she has returned, she has been on her game. Like she has not really had I feel like she's better in the ring now than she was when she was at the top of the division by a lot.
Totally. Totally agree with
So I
that.
thought this match was great, and I really like this match. Like I think the best TV matches the WWE has had all year have been tag matches.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right, our next category is right down your alley here, the 2016 Charlotte versus Sasha Banks TV match of the year. Famously in 2016, Charlotte and Sasha Banks had those great TV matches. They had the Raw where Charlotte lost the title. And then
Pittsburgh,
the other Raw, which I attended, where Charlotte also lost the title.
LA.
And then they had the other Raw, which is the Falls Count last Falls Count Anywhere match in Charlotte,
Yep.
and Charlotte lost that one. So, everybody knew the story. If it was on TV, Sasha Banks wins. If it's on pay-per-view, Charlotte wins. And this our TV match of the year was Mercedes Moné against Athena in kind of an AEW Ring of Honor dream match, which was the first round of the Owen Hart tournament. Or is it first or second round? Second round.
Second round.
Second round in Boston. Everybody loved this match. A lot of people have this as their match of the year. A lot of people on Cage Match have this rated very, very high. This match was fantastic. It was two surgical professional wrestlers wrestling each other. That's the best way I can describe this match. This was like a classic Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels match. That's what I looked at this match as.
Yeah, I think the coolest thing about this match is that they were able to put on such a highly regarded, fun match, and they didn't give away anything.
Mm-mm.
Literally, they didn't play one known card from the deck. No finishers were hit. No submissions were put, Mercedes didn't get a statement maker on or anything. They literally wrestled a great 20-minute match, playing almost none of their beats. You know what I mean? They just kind of wrestled. They hit a couple things that they're known for, but it was really about counter wrestling and staying away from the other person's strength. So, um, I love this match. This is a highly rewatchable match. And this match tells me that with the right story and given 25 minutes on a pay-per-view, they absolutely have a match of the year for like all of wrestling in them. Um, because again, they didn't really lean into any of the things that would normally heighten. Your matches of the year have near falls and false finishes, and three times the finisher was hit. This match, no finishers were hit, no false finishes. A reversal led to the end, and it was a quick, not quick match, but the end came abruptly off of a reversal. So I'm excited to see the next one, but this one will stand the test of time. I definitely the best TV match of the year. All right, this one is going to shock everyone. That's sarcasm. This was as unanimous gets. We have the Jumping Bomb Angels Tag Team of the Year. Raj has paid fantastic homage to what the Jumping Bomb Angels have meant to tag team wrestling in the past, what they meant for those 80s shows for women, uh, getting on the card back in the past. Unanimous, our tag team of the year is Charlexa. You just stated Alexa Bliss has done some of the best ring work of her career, the best ring work of her career. Um, and Charlotte Flair has been the most consistently over that I can recall her being since probably her first year on SmackDown. She was getting, the crowd, there was a freshness about her being on SmackDown that year. Her alignment was not necessarily like full-blown babyface, but she was getting pops at least and stuff. But there's a connection with the crowd. There's a love that the crowd is giving her that she certainly hasn't had in a long time. This tag team absolutely has worked in every single way. And what's cool about it too is they could run them two together for another year, or they could break them up for Mania season. I don't know what they're going to do, but all of it would work because both these women have delivered.
Yeah, not to, quickly, when Charlotte lost to Tiffany at WrestleMania, I don't think anybody would have bet that Charlotte would end up better than the winner, but she has, right? Like
Yeah.
Charlotte Alexa has given her kind of a new lease. And Tiffany, you could make a point, was never as hot as she was after Mania. Like she was cold, and every month got considerably colder. And Charlotte got scorching hot. And obviously, the fans spoke on this one. They like these two. These two make people happy as a duo. And kudos to them doing the social media stuff to sell them as a team. Like even going to parties together and doing that and dressing up together, I think it works. So, congratulations to Charlexa. So, the next award goes to the Trish Stratus versus Mickey James Feud of the Year, and it goes to Mariah May versus Tony Storm in AEW. I don't really think I need to spend too much time on this one. It's obvious, like this was as unanimous as it comes. I can't think of a women's feud that had the layers, the characters, the storytelling,
Segments and matches, right?
segments and matches, promos that this one had. I mean, this was a year-long thing and it ended great. And obviously, it ended with somebody leaving the company. But yeah, I mean, simple Mariah May, Tony Storm, feud of the year.
We got a lot of feuds that had good matches. We had a lot of feuds that had good segments. This was the one that had both, right? That had memorable matches and memorable segments. So I absolutely well deserving of feud of the year.
So I'm going to do the next one, and then
Yep.
you're going to do the final category. So
Yep.
our runner-up category is the Brooklyn NXT Takeover Match of the Year. When we say Brooklyn NXT Takeover, we are not talking about Tyler Breeze versus Jushin Thunder Liger. We're talking about Sasha Banks, Bailey, Brooklyn behind my co-host's shoulder. The match of the year, which was our match of the year last week for both of our lists, which was also Sports Illustrated's match of the year, which is Bianca Belair versus Rhea Ripley versus Io Sky, opening match, WrestleMania 41, night two. Three baby faces. Io Sky was the champ against the two kind of faces of the women's division. And again, we've talked at nauseum about this match since it happened. And again, I truly believe this. I think if they did this match 100 times, they would never get it as good as they got it that night.
Yep.
Because I have rewatched this match a lot, and there's so much that can go wrong with what they were attempting. Because, like you said, they said, we're going to throw the fastest pitch we have the whole match. And if we slow down, so be it, but we're not. And they hit everything and they nailed everything. And they had the crowd is as big a part of this match as anything else. The crowd did their part. They were crazy for this match. They went ooh, they went ah, they went whoa, they got sucked in at every near fall. And it was the perfect ending, which is I know the one knock I've read about this match, I think you have it too, is that Rhea should have got pinned. That's what everybody thought. Like,
Yeah.
Rhea is the one who's already been pinned at Mania. Bianca hasn't. So at least you can keep that going. And I guess I get that. And what it was is, Bianca does the KOD, has Rhea pinned. One, two, and as the three is coming, moonsault or over the moonsault, hit, boom, Bianca took the pin. One, two, three, and it was perfectly executed and perfectly timed, and the reaction for the crowd was crazy. And I think everybody knew Io was winning once they flew her whole family in. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
she's winning. They're not doing a Roman Reigns WrestleMania 31 here. So this was our match of the year. And again, it's to me as good as any women's wrestling match I've ever seen. So now you give us the final award.
The final award that we have, and just to add in, match of the year, hands down. That is a nitpick on who should have gotten pinned. Those ladies went out there and absolutely killed it. When you perform at that level on the highest stage, I've got nothing but love for what they went out there and accomplished. Yes, the final award, the Manami Toyota Wrestler of the Year. And the balance sheet, Manami Toyota Wrestler of the Year for 2025 is Mercedes Moné. We felt like Mercedes put together a complete game, if you want to go baseball on it. She pitched all 9 innings. Um, she was relevant and doing relevant work for all 12 months. And that really kind of enshrines her 2025 as the wrestler of the year. And you can make an argument in a Hall of Fame, one of the best couple of women who've ever wrestled in a Hall of Fame level career like that, that is the best year of her career. Um, it is certainly the most prolific as it comes to winning titles, winning title matches. Um, I think she will have bigger wins and bigger matches in the future than she had this year. I don't know that she will have the depth of matches and moments um, spanning as many, places as she did this year. It would be a lot to ask her to ever replicate what she did, all the places she wrestled, all the women she wrestled. Um, and we felt like she really actually sewed this up with just the craziest October, November you could ask for. Just active pretty much every weekend all over the globe throughout those last 2 months to seal the deal, get her break the Ultimo Dragon record and get up to the 13 belts. So the wrestler of the year, Mercedes Moné.
I agree with you, and I think you could make the case that this category could be named Woman of the Year because I want to talk about, you talked about what she's done in the ring, and I think equally as important from where I sit is what she's done outside of the ring. And what I mean by that is using her star power for the right, um, the right way, which is I'm gonna go to these independent promotions. I'm gonna put their best wrestler on the map. Emerson Jane, Kanji. What is the lady's name in Winnipeg?
Jody
Diana?
Threat.
Jody Threat. Jody Threat.
Yep.
Like these are women that I don't think I would know who they are if Mercedes didn't wrestle them. And equally as important as the in-ring stuff she's done, I think is the light she shined on all these super talented women in parts of the world that we did not know existed. Um, I know she and the lady's name who she fought at House of Glory.
Um, nor Diana Phoenix.
Or Diana Phoenix, right? That woman is really good. It was one of those things that they'll probably need to have the match again, but like just the fact that she got that stage. So, wrestler of the year, yes. Woman of the year, also, which is when I think of 2025, I always tell people the way I look at things is if you tell me 2024 what was, what do you remember 2024 for? I'll say, this. In professional wrestling, women's wrestling, if you tell me 2025, the first name that'll pop in my head will be Mercedes. Everybody knows I had a list last week where I had number one, two, and three, and she was number three. But that was just, I was talking about match quality and output. But if you factor in the stuff she's doing on top of the wrestling, that's why she is the deserving first ever Manami Toyota Wrestler of the Year because the stuff she did outside of the ring was super impactful. The amount of revenue she generated for these other companies, that's important because it gives wrestlers more opportunity to go and wrestle in other places. Like they don't have to wait for the NXT. And I can say this because I know some of the NXT pay scales. The money she's making in these independent promotions is more than most of the women are making in NXT. NXT is developmental. And
Yeah.
yeah, they have a national TV deal and everything, but the money is set up where it's like more NIL. Kudos to Mercedes. She used her platform in the right manner, which is to shine a spotlight on women who are trying to be like her. And that's what she's always wanted to do, which is I want to leave women's wrestling in a better place than I found it. And she has done that exponentially. So she
Very,
deserves this.
very well said. The only thing I'll add to it is really inspiring to see someone call their shot. Exactly what she said in her first AEW promo. We're taking women's wrestling global, global revolution. It's exactly what she accomplished this year. Um, I'd never sell her short. I don't know that she'll try to replicate it in the exact same way, but she's always going to be shining a spotlight in the different places that she can, because she's got a pretty damn big spotlight.
I think 2026 is going to be the year Mercedes Moné shines the spotlight by losing to all of these same type of women where the belts are going back to, these places. But the reality is, whether you love her, you hate her, you find her overrated, you think she's polarizing, you think she's a bad promo, you think she's overrated in the ring, whatever. I don't have time to waste on those individuals. But what I will say is that somebody who walked out on the biggest wrestling company that has ever existed by a mile and has managed to keep herself as relevant as she has and in the news as she has and make the money she's making, that has to be applauded. Because, Cody Rhodes got a lot of credit for doing this. And I never remember loving the Cody Rhodes run outside of WWE the way I like what Mercedes is doing. So everybody wants the return to glory. She comes home, the prodigal daughter returns. And that might happen one day. We might get that. But if we never get it, we should be happy for her because then she's choosing what she wants to do. And we cannot be selfish and ask her to do what we want to do because we don't live her life. So I give her all the praise in the world for taking a chance on herself because you know what? Most people, and I'm probably part of this group, and I can admit this, um, we when we get comfortable and we get the paycheck and life is good and we get what we need out of life, we don't take risks. She
Yep.
went the complete opposite way, and she deserves a lot of praise. So, you know what? Congratulations, Justine Mercedes Castor Vernado as the Minami Toyota Wrestler of the Year for 2025 from the balance sheet.
Congratulations, Mercedes. We appreciate everyone listening not only to this episode, but throughout this whole year. We've been doing this for, a little over a year and a half now, and you guys continue to support us. Numbers continue to grow. We appreciate all the feedback that you guys give. We've tried some things that worked this year. We tried some things that didn't work this year,
Yep.
but overall, we're very, very happy with where we're at. And again, just thankful for everyone who continues to support us.
Yes. Thank you guys. Happy holidays to everybody out there. Happy, safe New Year. Don't drink and drive.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Happy holidays.